Go ahead, bust off this air horn. Welcome to the Blake Edwards podcast. I am your humble and gracious host, Blake Edwards, and today we have on a very special guest today. Her name is Fresh.deww, and she is Atlanta's #1 up-and-coming YouTuber. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here today.
So happy to have you, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, so one of the first things I want to go ahead and get started off with was, so I know you started your YouTube channel around 4 to 5 years ago. Was it your freshman year in high school, or when was that exactly?
I actually started it 7 years ago.
7 years ago? Oh, man.
It's been some time, but I have a lot of my stuff that's gone because I just
Oh,
would much
okay.
rather not have people see that.
Yeah.
But it was like I was in middle school actually. So at the time it was not cool. Literally no one was doing that, so it kind of made me feel like the oddball out. So I've been doing it for some time now, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon, but there's obviously gonna have to be a cap on that at some point. But for now, I definitely still love that. And
Damn, but what made you want to start in middle school though? Like honestly, like, and it's funny too, cause like I wish I found like my love and passion for all this shit much earlier, but like to find it at like such a young age, it's like it's remarkable too, like in a way. So like, what made you like want to get into it like around middle school? Was it 7th grade, 8th grade?
I think it was probably around that time. I've always been interested in making things. So whether it be, there was a time where rainbow loom bracelets were a thing. So
Yeah.
I would make rainbow loom bracelets, or I had a bunch of instruments, so I would play instruments sometimes. Like I was always trying to make something, or cooking. Like I just wanted to make or create something. So for me at the time, I didn't know that you could profit from YouTube. So I just I was on my Samsung Galaxy, like that was literally this small, and I was like, I want to talk to this. So I just pulled it out one day and I recorded myself talking. I was like, hi, my name is, and then I posted that. So for me, I didn't think about it. I literally just recorded myself one day and just put it on the internet. And as time went by, I just kept on doing it.
Yeah.
And like we had talked about earlier, you just keep on doing it and like continuously just grow from there. So at the time, I didn't think about it as much. I was just like, I'm just making a video.
You had to be like the only girl in middle school that was doing YouTube though. You had to be.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was definitely, like I said, not the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
People did not, oh Lord. I remember there's so many times where people would just make fun of me because they were like, they found it wasn't good. So
They're watching
I can't
now.
blame them. I can't blame them. It wasn't like there was not a reason to make fun of me, but it was just very discouraging because if I had stopped at that time, I wouldn't be where I am currently.
Yeah.
So no one cared for that. They were just like, oh, why are you doing this? Like they would sometimes imitate things that I would say in videos and just make fun of me. I remember there's some times where people would tell the teacher to play the videos in front of class, on the projector, and I would be like, why are we doing this?
Right.
I sat and I edited this video for hours. I've heard the video.
Yeah.
Like it's tattooed in my brain. So
Yeah.
why are we playing this same video in class, like for the entire class? And they would all be just laughing about it, and it was a mess. But once again, I just kept on doing it because I was like, I like doing this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna thug this out, and very, very, very grateful for that because yeah, I just think things are just gonna continue to go up from here.
No, I feel you definitely. Now, so I will admit, I was looking at the reason why I said 4 or 5 years because I scrolled all the way down to your last YouTube video, and just to like watch because like yeah, you post like your content now, but like what I really love to see is like just where like because you've been doing it for so long, so like I like to see like how people's creative space was when they were like younger. So like seeing you doing it when you were in high school or like some of those early videos, it was like just cool. And then like another thing too is like watching like those like earlier videos of you and like watching like some of your videos now, like because like most people like they grow over time, but I feel like you're like besides that you've grown like into a woman and stuff, but like you're like your demeanor and the way you act is exactly like I swear it's exactly the same. I was just like, damn, like she literally acts like exactly the same.
Yeah, that's something that I hold to firmly to like just the person that I am in this industry. Sometimes you can get lost in
Definitely.
Sometimes people just don't want to express themselves or they feel like they have to like put on this like blank face, like I'm too cool for this or that. But my personality, I think, is one of the main things that I try to portray through my content because anyone can make anyone can make the content that I make. Like anyone can film, because a lot of my content is based on just everyday life. So anyone can make that, but I just really like to be able to allow my audience to feel like they can connect to me. Because I thought she was on my leg. But I like to allow my audience to feel like they already know me, because it's like a lot of the time I watch people and I feel a little detached. I'm like, oh, like you're far off. But with my content and as time goes by, I really hope to retain authenticity. That's like my main thing. As time goes by, I want to just want to continue to retain that, because that's who I am. And I don't want people to meet me and see a different version of what I show them.
No, it's so true. And it's like funny that you're even saying that, just even like having the conversation, the one we were having earlier, like you're exactly like the same as like how you portray. And I feel like that's how it should be. And it's funny because when I was first getting started, like I remember, and I feel like most people do this, especially when they start off like in their creative ventures and all that different kind of shit. Like they think about like, oh, like what brand do I want to have, or what image do I want to put out to the world? And I was thinking about all those different kind of things when I first started, because this is considered like my 12th episode, but I really started like, as far as like creating content, I started about a year ago with one of my friends named Hannah. Shout out to Hannah. But when we first started, like you could tell that, I'm not going to say I was being disingenuous, but I think I was overthinking like the process. And when we first were making the videos, like you could tell, because it was me and her. I think we were like feeding it off each other's energy a little bit, but like it was something that we were just getting into. Like we were brand new at it, so we didn't really know like how all of it works. But like after when we were first recording those first like couple episodes, and it was just like us talking or whatever. And then after doing that, like I'm not gonna say I felt discouraged, because I knew it wasn't like me, but like I had this 8th month period where I was just working out and I wasn't doing anything, and I was just like overthinking like a bunch of shit. But I just got to a point where I realized, just be yourself, because like if you're just constantly trying to put on this image that is really not you, you're just doing you are doing a disservice to the people that are like following you. And I just felt like that's the space I was in for like such a long time.
Also a disservice to yourself, because you feel like you're gonna have to constantly keep up with that image. Like for me personally, it's like I've also kind of fell in that mindset here and there, where I felt like I had to, I don't know if I can think of any like specific examples, but I found myself in that space sometimes where I feel like I have to put up this persona or have myself at this high level. Okay, over time, YouTube has become a little bit of a business. Like it's becoming very businessy, and I've just kind of watched things take place in terms of from where I started to where I am currently, and a lot of people nowadays would just hop on it and like blow up, and sometimes it'll just be like anything. And sometimes I would catch myself watching that stuff and I'll be like, why is this stuff doing good? Like, what is so good about this? Like and this isn't to discredit all those people, because those people are still doing their thing. But I would just be like, I put so much work into my craft and am still growing. And it's like, how come these people just came on here and just like blew up in no time? And it can get very discouraging. So sometimes I would catch myself trying to think a little businessy and being like, what can I change? And for a little bit of time, I would just start filming content that was based on, and I never posted these because I knew deep down that stuff wasn't real. Like that stuff was just, it wasn't. So I would just start filming things that I was like, I know this is going to perform well. And after I finished filming it, I was like, I don't even want to post this anymore, because although the audience doesn't know it's fake, or not fake, but like although the audience might not know like this isn't something I actually wanted to do, I know, and I'm gonna watch that back and be like, oh shoot, there was a video that I was trying to film, and I don't know if you know this trend, but it was on TikTok for some time. I don't know if this is the side on TikTok that you are, but it was called like the that girl trend, where basically people were just trying to have a day where they try to like be their best selves. So essentially you would just have like a day where you would work out, eat really well, wake up at a reasonable time, just a whole lot of that. So I was trying to create that video because that was a video that was doing really well at the time. And I remember filming that video a good 4 times, like 4 different days I tried to film it, because I couldn't perfect it. Like I couldn't do all those things in one day, because one thing or another would go wrong. And I remember trying to film like 2 different days and blending it into one video to make it seem like it was one day. and I was like, I got into the editing process and I was like, I'm really about to put this out to my audience and make them think, and they wouldn't know. Like, how would y'all know? Because it's like, you're only going to see what I show you. So people would be like, oh my gosh, like, how do you do all this in one day? And I'll be sitting there being like, I did it in like a course of 2-3 days. Exactly. Like, I had to like, and I just couldn't find myself putting that into the world. So, that's what we were saying about authenticity. That's something that I always have to really just like remind myself. I'm not doing this to impress anyone. I'm really just trying to allow people to know, like, this is the real me. And if I slip up here and there, like, this is still me. And I don't know. I really like that you said that, because that's something that I really try to hold near and dear. That as time goes by, although I might grow and I might like get better in my craft, or I might get more knowledge about how to like edit better and this and that, at the end of the day, I still want to retain that authenticity, like, to being my true self.
But it's dope. It's honestly like dope as shit that you like always like at least conscious about that. Cause like even like when I first started, I'm not gonna lie, like, cause I mean, and I'm sure every creator that first starts doing it, because even like what you were saying, like YouTube 10 years ago, no one thought it was gonna be what it is today. And it's kind of has turned into a business. So I mean, I'm sure every creator tries to, because I feel like honestly it's about finding a healthy balance between the two, because when I was starting, I was kind of in that mind frame a little bit, and I was always talking to my photographer, and he's like, dude, like, this is art, this is like, and you don't want to get lost in the business stuff, like like you always want to be on top of your shit, because it is like business. But like, and I feel like that's just anything. But if you don't really love what you're doing, you're trying to force it, then it does come off like, oh, like a person's just trying to get money or grow, blow up, or whatever the fuck it is. But like it took me, I would say, my first 3 or 4 episodes to like really, like, I always loved doing this, but to really find like a mission on like what it is, or like why that I'm doing this, if that makes sense. And I feel like the answer was like, one of the main reasons why I love doing this is because like this is history right now. Like when you're 70 years old, you might want to show this to your like grandkids, or like just anything like that. Like this is all like, I'm documenting history in a way, like where people grow up, they could show this to their kids. And even if I just interviewed someone that is a early artist or like a musician, and it's in their early creative stages, but they didn't really blow up until like 7 years later, but hey, you have this like episode or like an interview of like where you were 7 years ago. And I think like just that's the coolest shit. Like, you know what I mean?
I never thought about it in that way, but that's actually so true, because a lot of the time, sometimes on my explore page or my recommended page on YouTube, people will just randomly pop up like artists that just had a random interview from a couple years back, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting, like this is where they were, this is where they are. So I think that's a really good vision, like really, really good. And I didn't think about it in that way, but like you said, it's good that you know that, because you know that that's like something that motivates you to constantly keep on creating, because you never know, like something that you have on the show could turn out to be someone that is a household name down the line. So
no, like honestly, I just feel like you have to find something that makes your brain tick. And I feel like for the first couple episodes, like I of course I was loving doing it, but like when I found like that mission, like it just makes me like at the point, like I'm at the point where I don't even care about like the business shit, or I don't like none of that shit, like, but just doing this, like meeting different people and like all the stuff that like comes with that, and just even like the creative process, like I just love doing the shit now. So like I could just do this shit every day now. Like I couldn't like schedule someone every single day, but like I just love doing it now. So I just feel like once you find that thing that just makes your brain tick, like again, like what you were saying earlier, like it doesn't even feel like work anymore. Like this is just some fun shit for me now. Like, and it's funny too, because like I found like, and I realized it when I was in I would say a negative mood one day, and then I had to record. So I was at work, because I used to be a manager at Chipotle down in Lenox Mall, and I was just having a shitty day. But when I did the episode, and it was like just such a fucking cool episode, my day brightened up like so much. So like anytime like I'm doing this kind of shit, like I'm about to have the best day ever, like after this, like just because I love doing this kind of stuff. So I feel like once you find that, then everything just seems like seamless in a way. If that makes sense.
No, for sure. And we were talking about this right before we started recording, but that's how work should be. It should not feel like you're actually working. And unfortunately, that's not the case for everyone. Like we talked about, some people don't have that path paved out for them, or some people don't have the support system that allows them to know that they can do that.
Yep.
But work shouldn't feel like you're clocking in or just checking off a box or just trying to like make ends meet paycheck to paycheck, which is what I love about being a creative in the entrepreneurship, like trying to get into entrepreneurship and all that. It allows you to have so much freedom to do all those things, and at the same time you're having fun. It doesn't feel like you're working, which is so good. And
I feel you, and it's freedom is everything. But one of the things I did want to ask you though, because again, I was like looking at some of your like older videos and stuff, and I saw that you had posted the video was titled your AP scores for one of your, like, I guess courses and stuff. So I assume would you consider yourself like a bookworm when you were in school at all?
I don't want to say, school has always come pretty easy. Yeah,
I feel you.
I don't really. It's crazy because it's funny. It's crazy because it's so interesting, and people think I'm like joking when I say it. But last semester with my previous roomies, they would just observe certain things that I did, and it was just like, I don't try as hard in school as people think I do, which I'm grateful for, because I know for some people it's a really hard thing for them to make good scores and like good grades in school. But school has always just been just another thing for me. I don't have a hard time in school, especially now that I'm in college and I'm actually studying what I enjoy. This is great. I love school now. At the time, I was just trying to just get my grades and leave, because in my mind I was like, if I'm gonna be here, I might as well be good at it. And I'm just gonna do what I need to do to get to where I need to get to. So
No, I feel you. Like, honestly, like, I'm not gonna lie, when I was like in early like elementary school and middle school, like, I was a little bit of a menace. I feel like some of us were, I don't know, but so like I feel like I'm on the same boat in a way, to where school was never hard for me, because like I was like playing around like in school, but like I would still like make decent grades, like just straight B's, or like I'll get C's here and there. But when I actually like apply it myself, then like the A's would just come in. So like, but like, yeah, like I could say relate in a way to where school's not like hard. I just feel like, well, I don't know, because it just depends on like the subject matter and all the different kind of stuff, whether you're interested, like all those different kind of variables play in when you're doing it. But I feel like if you just actually like apply yourself just tad bit, then like school can be easy. But if you're just gonna like, because my biggest thing was like, once I noticed, like, if I just actually pay attention like in the actual class, like I don't really have to study afterwards. Like I never studied, literally, and I would like make like B's and like some A's here and there. So like it was like okay for me, but I was never like always studying. Like I never did that shit.
That's another thing. People think I do. People think I study a lot. I literally don't. Half the time for a lot of my tests, I'll be studying when I was in high school, I would be standing outside the classroom about to walk in and be like looking over notes, and I would just wing it. Thank God that a lot of teachers allowed retakes, because that's another thing that I really banged on, but I just would just do whatever. And like you said, as long as you apply yourself, I personally feel like, and this is just me, but I feel like it's harder to fail a class than it is to pass a class. In my mind, I'm like, you really have to just do nothing.
Really?
Like literally just forget about the class.
Right.
And that's, I don't know, but that's just my opinion. But then again, I was also raised in an environment where education is something that like I don't take it for granted. I moved to the States with my family when I was 7, and essentially one of the main reasons we came here was for a better education and a better life. I'm from Nigeria, so
nice.
Yeah, like
it's funny,
over there, it's a lot of the education that you that is considered good is paid for. So I went to a private school when I was there, and people were like, "Oh, no," it was regular. Yeah. Like that was what was considered a regular education, and a public school was not anything. That was just, you might as well not go to school. So coming here and knowing that it was like, knowing that was the main reason we came to the States, it really kept me going, because I didn't want to disappoint my parents. It's not all about my parents, but that was definitely something that I kept in my mind, because I was like, my parents didn't work this hard for us to come to the States for me to just skip class, not do good. Like that's something that that's something that I definitely was conscious about. So I was like, I'm gonna do my best in everything that I do, not only in school but in other things as well, because my parents work very hard they worked very hard for us to come here. So I'm like, in everything that I do, I want to make sure that I can pave the same path for my children and also give back to them at some point because they're still working very hard. I'm in college and I don't have 100% financial and like I'm not completely financially independent. So I still do rely on them here and there for things. So I'm constantly working my butt off in hopes that I can be independent and also give back to them at some point. So education isn't something that I took lightly or take lightly now.
So let's dive into that a little bit though. So you're from Nigeria and you came here when you were 7.
Yes.
So it's funny that you say that because obviously I'm sure, well, I haven't been there, but I could only assume that like Nigeria, it's not the same like as America, like economically. So like the private schools would be on the same par as like our public schools in a way. So like, what was it like going to schooling like in Nigeria? Like, what's that experience like?
Since I was so young, I don't remember too much, but it was, I don't know, it was okay. Like I said, I don't have too much of a memory.
Yeah.
I was in a couple extracurriculars, like I did ballet, so I knew a little bit about that. It's very different when it comes to, there's a lot of colorism over there.
Really? In Nigeria? What?
No, it's really interesting because I'm of lighter complexion in comparison to a lot of people over there. So it's very unfortunate at how things were handled in the education system. Like they put me and my older brother, because we were like lighter complexions, me and my older brother. So they put us on the school billboard because they wanted foreigners to think that it was like an American school or international school. And for every performance for my ballet like performances and stuff, they would put me at the front. I didn't know I couldn't do a split. And I'm like, why are y'all putting me at the front? It was just because they wanted a lighter complexion person at the front, which is very unfortunate. Very unfortunate, especially in a country that it's like, bro, we're all already already black, so can we calm down? But that's a very vivid memory that I have. A lot of colorism took place over there. It's kind of like it's very, very different. Another thing that's different is the fact that the school teachers are kind of like your second parents in quotes. So if they could do whatever they wanted, if you came late, they could
hit you.
Yes.
Oh, get the fuck out! Really?
Yes.
Do they still do that shit over there?
I don't know if they do it as much. Maybe they're just a little bit more hush-hush about it.
Damn, that's crazy.
Maybe they're just kind of like about it. But I know one time I had walked in late, and they had a gatekeeper. So the gatekeeper let me in. He walked me to class. Yeah, he walked me to class, and he told my teacher that I was late. And okay, I don't know if this is just me, but sometimes I mix my dreams and childhood memories as one because I can't tell if it was a dream or a childhood memory, but I'm pretty sure this is real. Like, I'm almost certain. So they had put me on the table, like, in the middle of class and just, like, whooped me because I was late to class. So that's very different. I don't think they do that anymore. I really, really hope they don't, but there's a lot of differences. And I think the fact that it was a private school probably played into it a little bit. The public schools might have been different, but yeah, I don't have too much of a memory, but a lot of my memories are just kind of like bad. So coming here once again was very, very
just a blessing in a way.
Yeah, very. And I don't understand how some people come here after. I don't understand how some other people that have been in the same situation can come here and not try to work to like get at a better place. Because I'm like, do you not understand how much this? I know there's like. This country isn't perfect, but there's so much more that it has to offer. There's so much more, and I'm so grateful for that. Yeah.
I don't know, like I can't speak from like per se like that person's like experience or whatever, but I could only assume like if you just come from like, let's just say like a communist China or like a North Korea where they have like a dictator over there, like but when you come to the country you're like, oh, like fuck, this is heaven. And like you could like in a way like once you realize that you're sort of not settling but you're just grateful to be like in a country where you're free to do those different kind of things that you want to do and not have the oppression of government over you in a way, if that makes sense. But I mean I could definitely see like how you like came over here and you just stay like consistent and like want to work hard, because I always say, and I hate calling other people that are from other countries foreigners because we're all just human beings, but like I honestly think that like foreigners, like they're the hardest fucking working people on the planet. Like literally like anytime, like whether it's Hispanics from other countries, like the hardest fucking working class people like I've ever seen, like just because like they know where they come from and they know that they have opportunity here. And most Americans that are born and bred here, like I I have family there in the Caribbean and all this stuff, but I'm a born and bred like American. Like I grew up in Gwinnett County, Lawrenceville. Like I'm like this is where I'm from. You know what I mean? So like I feel like it just depends on like how you're groomed as a child. But I mean most like Americans that are born and bred don't have that same mindset that you guys would have.
Yeah, and I think that's just because like for some people they just get really comfortable. They think that they haven't seen the other side of things, and I didn't see the complete other side of things because even when I was in Nigeria, I lived in like the suburbs kind of, so I didn't see too much of the chaos that took place. So essentially, I was still kind of pampered when I was over there. But yeah, some people think that this is it all. Like we're in America, so they've never seen the opposite. So they don't they don't see the need to work hard. And I'm not saying this is the case for every American. Obviously, there's hardworking Americans, obviously, that know like the importance of working hard, even though they still have these opportunities. But foreigners, for sure, I'm not speaking completely on myself because I don't think I experienced as much of a hardship. But I'm gonna talk about my parents like a little bit. Like they work really hard because they also have a factor of like their accent. Their accent is very, very, very like hard. So when coming to America and trying to get a job and working in corporate America, people already give you a hard time. But then they hear that you have an accent, they're gonna already just be like, okay, they're viewing you less than because they feel like you're from a different country. Although you came here to get a better life, they're just gonna be like, oh, you seem like you're from a different country. You don't talk like us, so we'll give you a hard time. Like I just witnessed so much of that happen in my parents' life, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna disappoint them because they did not do all this for me to just come out here and just do nothing with myself. Absolutely not. So
now, did you have an accent at all when you first came over, or?
I was really young. Like at 7, I didn't. Well, for a little bit, yeah, like for a little bit of time, but probably like the first year. But because I was in the 3rd grade, so that's when you're still interacting with people and learning and stuff. So in those interactions, I feel like I've been able to get an American accent. My American accent is pretty good, but I'm still able to switch over to my Nigerian accent. It just depends on who I'm talking to. So if I'm talking to like my parents, I'll talk to them, in a Nigerian accent. Or if I'm talking to like someone that is from Nigeria and we're like gisting and joking and stuff, occasionally like but it just depends on who I'm talking to. I'll just like code switch back and forth, but overall I don't think I've had an issue with that.
And that's crazy though. So like just going back to like the whole like you starting YouTube and vlogging when you were in like middle school and then transition into high school, did you notice like any, well, I'm not gonna say changes because I mean you're just like really just doing it. Did you notice like any differences when you were doing YouTube in middle school versus when you were doing it in high school at all? Like
for sure, there was a time period in high school. I think it was 2019. One of my videos had done really, really well. I think right now it probably has around 300,000 views. Sure. But it performed pretty well. So a lot of people were seeing the video that hadn't known that I made content prior. So I don't know. I really hope this doesn't come off like cocky, but
it's fine. Go ahead. Wear it on your sleeves.
Like, a lot of people started knowing me, and it was just really, really frustrating to see the people that would make fun of me start to like you
a little bit.
I was like, hold on, wait a minute, no, because we're not gonna just like because it was just really funny because I was like, just 2 years ago you were making fun of me in class, but how come all of a sudden we're like besties? It doesn't make sense. So those people I would just have to just like distance myself from, because I was like, that's not funny, that's not cool. Because say I just stopped because of what you said to me at that time, how would I have gotten to this point? Like how would I be where I am right now? So there was a significant difference, particularly because it's really funny because sometimes I still think about this till this day, but some people will only support you when they see that you already have something going for you. Yep. And it's really unfortunate because I feel like that prevents a lot of artists that are still on their way up, whether it be on something like YouTube or other creative platforms. It just makes you feel as though it's like, are you supporting me because you think what I'm doing is good, or just because you want to say you knew me or that you know me? Right. Like it's just really hard. And I think in that process, that's what causes a lot of people to stop producing things, and that's what stunts a lot of really, really, really good creatives, because you're not getting that support. And as much as it's good to be like, oh, I'm just rooting for myself. Support really, really matters.
Right.
And it's so important. So when I started seeing that support come only when they were seeing numbers and like in high school, I was just like, this sucks. Because I've been doing this for a long time. How come y'all are only just now supporting me when you're seeing something? And at the time, I was like, I feel like the stuff I'm making has always, and that's what I'm saying, I don't want to make it sound cocky, but I was like, I feel like it's always been good. So why did you just now see that it's been good? Like, why did you just now notice that? Is it because you see numbers that are attached to that? Until this day, I still have that, like, perception on a lot of things, even when it comes to, like, photography, for example, because as I'm growing, I'm realizing that I want to get into other aspects of content creation. So outside of YouTube, I recently got into photography and videography and all that. So it's just really unfortunate because it's like sometimes people won't say a word, like they won't reshare anything. And I'm not saying I expect people to, because there's no like expectation tied to anyone, but it just really sucks when you start seeing those people do those things only when they see results. I'm just like, why do people do that? Why don't you just support things when you see they're good? Like, why can't you be the one to push your friends forward and stuff? I don't know. It's just, that's how the world is, unfortunately. It is. And it's just really unfortunate, but...
No, but it's funny that you said that, too, because it's honestly, like, one of those things where people just don't want to support you until you get to that point where you are doing it. But I was listening to this Billie Eilish song, and she said that... She said something along the lines of people that don't even know me love me more than the people who used to. And I was just like, that really resonated a lot with me, because I also saw this other clip. It was with this dude who does like drop shipping for like clothes and all this other stuff. But he basically said that you're never gonna make a million, or he said something along the lines of you're not gonna make $1 million off of all your friends and the people that you know. It's people that don't know you that are going to support you. So, like, when I was walking into it, like, doing this whole, like, kind of, like, creative space, like, because I set, like, expectations so that I don't get discouraged, because, like, obviously, like, I'm sure you know, too, like, as a, like, creative, like, we do get discouraged, like, sometimes, but, like, when I was walking into it, like, okay, I don't expect to blow up for another, like, 10 years. So, like, I'll check back and see, like, what's going on 10 years from now. And then also, like, again, like, I don't expect, like, just, like, my friends or, like, to just be as supportive. Like, I mean, you would hope so just because they're your friends, but, I mean, I'm sure you saw, too, when you got into that creative, like, adventure in a way. People kind of, I'm not going to say treat you differently, but they don't treat you as the person that they knew you to prior, if that makes sense at all.
It sucks that that's how the world is.
Yep.
It really sucks, but then again, it's like, sometimes I have to flip the script and be like, maybe I subconsciously do that to other people. I might not realize, but I'm like, maybe, because I don't know. It's not like I'm like mad at anyone for not supporting me at a certain time, or, you know, it's just kind of interesting because people don't realize how much of an effect it has when it comes to creating, because sometimes you're like, is what I'm doing bad, or are people just not seeing me? Like, which one is it? Do I need to get better, or are y'all just on hush hush? Like, what?
Well, I feel like part of it is because we're putting our blood, sweat, and tears into it. Like, this is our work. Like, what this is and what you do, like, it's our blood, sweat, and tears. Like, literally, like, we're putting all of our creative energy into it. So, like, to put it out and then not have people that you grew up with that you love or some shit not want to, like, reach out or be like, oh, like, it's good, or like support, like whatever, like, it's gonna be just discouraging because it just is what it is. But honestly, like, I'm at the point where I kind of love it in a way, because it makes me want to work a little bit harder. Like, I'm gonna show you, like, in a way, if that makes sense. And that's probably not a healthy way of thinking. I honestly don't care. But, like, it's I'm not gonna say it's working for me, but, like, it keeps me wanting to move forward. But I'm at the point to where none of that shit even matters. Like, I'm doing it for a different purpose now. So I feel like once you apply a different purpose to it, like, all that stuff, like the human psychology of, like, all that stuff really just exits the room in a way.
I try not to focus on that too much, because there was a point where I did, and it would just drain me. Like, it would frustrate me so much. But like you said, trying to switch the mindset that I approach it with, and being like, first of all, this has been fun. It's supposed to continuously be fun. And then second off, it's like, I've been trying to have more confidence in what I put out. I'm like, even if people don't see this or people don't support me, at least I know what I'm doing is good. Like what I just need to know that what I'm putting out is good, and whether or not this is being seen by a certain number of people, it's okay. It's like one day it's gonna do good. And there's something else I had seen. It was like some people would much rather, I don't know if I would say I'd seen this, but it's just something I've observed. People would much rather support something that has already been done and done. Like for example, in this age of TikTok, there's a lot of what's the word? There's a word. I think it's
influencers
like,
or
no. It's like fast gratification, like quick gratification.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, instant gratification. There's a whole lot of that where people just put out things that are really quick. They know it'll do well, and people will eat it up.
Yep.
And it's really discouraging to see that, especially in these past 2 years when TikTok is like, came up. It's really because I've been doing this for so long. And seeing people who just hop on this right now, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with just hopping on it now. But it's just like, how did you do that? Like, how did you just like blow up that fast and in no time? And it's like, I've been here working my butt off for ages, and you're like all the way up there. I've just been trying to switch that mindset because once again, it gets very, very, very discouraging to view it like that. But yeah, in line with that, it's like a lot of the people, I have to remind myself that a lot of people that blow up overnight, and this isn't everyone, but it's like, what made you blow up overnight? Like, what did you invest into that you're doing? Because I personally feel like the amount of time that you put into honing a skill results in how long that, like, how much you can reap from that. Because if you put in a lot of time, for example, me personally, like, editing takes time, filming takes time, learning the ins and out of my cameras take time. All that stuff is something that you can't just learn overnight.
Yep.
And I know for a fact, similar to going to college and getting a degree, all that education that you're getting to like get that degree takes time. So someone can't just hop into the profession you want to hop into. So in line with the creative realm, like people can't just jump into doing what you're doing because it took time for you to learn all that stuff. So for those who just got that fame really quick, that same fame can be stripped away from them at the same speed. Because it's like, what did you build?
Exactly.
If you didn't take time to build anything, it's like, that can crumble at any time. People are just following you for what has been working. And things are going to constantly change. The times will change. And what is popular now won't be popular in a couple years from now. Right. So if you weren't able to like really build something for yourself where someone can't just snatch that away from you, it's like, shoot, who knows? Maybe in 2 years, people won't find you as... I just have to always remind myself of that. Because instant gratification will get you sometimes. And you'll be like, okay, let me just do what's been working. But, man, when it comes to creating, I just have to always remind myself, like, the work I'm putting in isn't a waste. Although people might not be seeing it this second, it's never a waste. Because all this stuff is what I'm cultivating. It can be implemented in one part of creating or another part. It's always going to be used. So... I don't know, that keeps me going for sure, rather than being like, oh, people are not supporting me now, this, that, and the third.
No, like, honestly, like, for me at least, I'd rather the grind be slow and then build a family over the years rather than have a bunch of people that just might have saw me in a course of a TikTok or a couple seconds, and then I start creating after, and then they're like, oh, I don't really like fucking with that person. Like, they just saw me off of this little clip, but I'd rather the grind be, like, much slower and hustle through it out to build that foundation, because once you have that, they'll stick with you throughout the rest of your journey. So I
like how you said foundation, because that is so important, having a community of people that, because with creating things, a big part of it is the community that you bring on board with you. So if your community only sees you for like, oh, this person is just nice to look at, or oh, this person just, I don't know, just anything random that isn't like doesn't have a good foundation, they can just easily leave, because nowadays anything can be duplicated. There isn't a new thing, like there isn't a new skill. So if you're just another person that they know on the internet, they could easily just move over to someone else. And like you had said, a lot of people, and once again, this isn't like dissing on TikTokers or anything, there's a lot of people that create things on TikTok that are amazing content creators, but or some people just do it for fun, which is also cool. But in some instances there's some people that will create things on TikTok that are just really quick, and people would just like eat that up. And then the second they slip up, like they do one wrong thing, you just see their audience completely flip on them.
Yep.
And it's like, why did they do that? It's because there wasn't any foundation.
That's
like they
true.
didn't even really get to know what this person,
Who you are.
Exactly. They just see you as just another person on the internet. So that foundation is so, so important when it comes to the community we create as creatives, for sure.
No, definitely. So one of the things I did want to dive into, though, is that I know you go to Georgia State, and I saw that you said that you want to be an interior designer. So is that like your like dream, like, I'm not gonna say job because you could build a business out of that. Is that like your dream like career in a way?
That's something that I wanted to do at some point. I don't really see myself diving into it too much more because right now, once again, I've always been trying to create. I just find myself always wanting to make something or figure out how to just, I don't know. So when I was younger, I really, really wanted to get into interior designing just because I just found it to be cool and just, I don't know. But right now, I don't think that that's something I'm going to dive into too much. Occasionally, like, my friends will ask for help on, like, I don't know, tips for, I don't know, what should I do to my space? And I'll give them advice based on what I think, but that's not something that I'm going to dive into too much because I don't think that's where my expertise is. I can do a good job at like making my crib look good, but I don't know about doing it for different people that have different styles. Yeah. I don't think that's what I would personally dive into, but it's something that I do enjoy, but definitely just for myself. I think there's some aspects of creating that I would much rather not
keep to yourself in a way.
Because I don't know. I don't want to get into it like too much. So
I feel you.
I want it to stay fun is what I'm saying. And I feel like when it comes to creating, sometimes the businessy aspect can come into play, and it can make it kind of get stressful. So with decorating and all that, I don't want that to affect that because I like that. I enjoy it. It's very like therapeutic for me to put together a space. So definitely not as a career. I don't think so.
I feel you. But so what's your degree in?
I major in film.
Okay,
so
nice. At least you're doing like a degree that you actually like love to do.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to this one girl a couple weeks ago, and I asked her what was her degree in, and she said it was psychology, and I was like, oh, you want to be like a psychologist or whatever the fuck. And then she was like, oh no, I just want to do something that has like a financially stable like career type thing. And I was like, oh, like, because you see like a lot of, I mean, I'm sure a bunch of people do that when they go into college. They want to pick a degree that's just going to make them the most money, but like, what about like what you like love to do in a way? Yeah. So like I was just like curious to know like what kind of degree that you picked. But it's good that you actually picked something that you're doing like in different spaces though.
Exactly. Film is something that I did not think twice about. I'm so happy that I went into college with that in mind already, because for some people it's not that way. They have to either go in undecided and then figure things out as they go. But I've always been interested in it, and stemming off of YouTube, I remember there was a time where I wanted to do YouTube as a career. Like I was like, this is what I want to do. I got my first nice little check, and I was like, I showed it to my mom. I was like, this is gonna get me some good money. Let's just give it some time. And she was like, not that she doesn't support me, because my parents support everything I do. That's which good. I'm so I keep saying I'm grateful for these things, because it's like I just have to always keep it in my mind that not everyone has things. Not everyone has a path that plays out like this. So because of that, I have so much gratitude. So if I mention that like 1,000,001 times, I'm so sorry, but that's just you know. But
no, you're good.
Yeah, my mom and my dad are very supportive of what I do. My mom was kind of talking about it, and she was like, when it comes to content creating on YouTube, she was just giving me a different perspective. She was like, you never really know how things can play out, because as time goes by, although creating will always be a thing, YouTube is kind of like, it's kind of a lot of what your income is kind of based on how people feel about you.
Yep.
And she was like, what if one day your audience doesn't like you anymore? Or what if like one day they just don't care about you? You know, like what if one day what you're creating is no longer popular? That's what you're going to have to use to feed your family. And I was like, yeah, but I still want to do it. And she was like, okay. So she told, I don't know how much of this you're going to keep in, but she basically went to my aunties. So I don't know if you know this, but in my culture, in Nigerian culture, a lot of like family friends are considered as your aunties and uncles.
Okay.
We might not even be related, but it's like, if this is like, for example, like your mom would be my auntie. Like
Really?
I'm not related to her, but
Yeah.
if we were in the same culture, essentially she would be my auntie. But yeah, but she went to my auntie's and she was like, go speak to my daughter and tell her that she's gonna need to think of something different. And I was so mad.
Yeah.
I was so mad. I was like, why would you do that? Like, this is something I want to do. I literally just showed you, like, I just made good money off of this, and if I just keep doing the same thing. She was like, okay. She wasn't hard on me at all. She just would just like give me little like hints of different ways I could go about it, which I'm so grateful for, because I'm still doing YouTube. It's something I still love. But from that, I was like, I need to make something. I need to make a stem off of this where it's like, I know this is firm and isn't really based on, oh,
people liking
yeah,
you.
exactly. So that's how come I kind of was like, maybe I should get into just videography, because when it comes to content creating on YouTube, essentially you're your entire production team.
Yep.
Like, you're setting up the lights, you're the camera, you're the actor,
Everything.
you're everything. So I was like, I really enjoy this, so let me see how I can create this for other people. So that's how I got into creating videos and like taking pictures, because I was like, I want to do this more. So occasionally, my dad is an accountant, so he would just have me sometimes like film different commercials for him and like put those together. So from there, a couple of his friends, like, they heard about that, and sometimes they would have me film like, I don't know, like birthdays or take pictures for their events. And I would just do it all for free, just because I didn't think of it as much. And then as time went by, I was like, this is taking up a lot of my time. So I would start charging people based on what I thought was the right price. And at the time, that was really, really lowballing myself. But once again, I didn't know better. So I would just charge what I just thought was okay. And then fast forward, I'm pricing things I'm pricing my work at the place it should be. So YouTube is still there, and I still love that, and I still put my whole heart into it. But I want to make sure that that isn't something that frustrates me based on like the businessy aspect of things.
I feel you.
So all that business growth and stuff is what I'm pushing towards my videography, film, all of that. So that's essentially why I went to school for film, because I minored in business. So it's like film for the knowledge and all that stuff, and learning about production, and then having a business minor to still learn about how to manage it. So those work hand in hand, and I'm very grateful for my major, because I love it so far. And I had posted this on my story a couple days ago, and we talked about this a little bit just now, but college for me is definitely more than just college. I don't just go to class and go back home. I literally, like, every little opportunity that I can take to network or meet people, I will take, because
That's dope, though.
that is essentially what this industry is. Because you can't do things on your own. It's like, who do you know? What are your connections? Like, what skill set do you have to bring? And just being isolated does not allow for that growth. So for me, it's like, I always try to find different networking events to go to, and if I have the chance to interact with someone and time permits, I'll definitely take the opportunity. Even this, for example, like, I see this to be a great, like, type of thing to also benefit both of us. And obviously you're dope, so it's like, we're great. We're gonna be great, like, friends, I hope, like, down the line and stuff. So it's like, all these little things are things that I always try to sneak in there when it comes to what I'm studying in school. Because when I was in high school, I didn't have time. I was constantly just going to school, coming home, doing homework. So now, like I said earlier, this is where it starts. This is just the beginning. Like, this is essentially where my life is starting, and I only see it to keep going up from here. So
I feel you. But just even going back to what your mom and I guess your auntie was saying, do you think when you were hearing all this, did you ever think that, because I mean, just from listening to it, if I was receiving the same sort of, like, I'm not gonna say criticism, but like just advice or how they're giving it to me, like, I would also take a step back to just think, you know, they come from not just a different generation, but a different culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a totally different, like, way of thinking. So, like, did any of that ever occur when you were thinking about it at all, or?
Yeah, a lot of the a lot of the annoyance that that statement had brought me was because I was like, what you don't understand is that it's a different time and things are different. Like, I was really just like, I was irritated initially because my heart was so set on that. But like you said, it was a much different time, and a lot of what she was saying was from a place of love.
Of course.
You know, I had to really understand that after my little, like, but for some people, I can see how that can be like I can say the same statement to some people and they'll be like, oh, your parents were like what held you back, or what, like, they could see it as a negative because you know, I don't know, but to me it was a positive, and it obviously has played out very well for me because she told me that probably like 3 years ago, and I took that and I was like, she essentially was just telling me, you can still do this, but try to make something more out of it. Like, you can still have your YouTube and, like, you know, put your time into this, but what can you stem off of it? And that's something that I also am very grateful that she taught me, because I personally feel like as I get older, I want to be able to have different sources and avenues of income. I don't just want to limit myself to one thing because I'm a very multifaceted person. I have a lot of interests. So that, like, what she told me just allowed me to just kind of dig into other parts of things that I enjoy. Because if not for me getting into film, I wouldn't have known that I enjoy photography as much as I do. I would have just been like, oh, I only know how to record on cameras. Or I wouldn't have known that, I don't know, I wouldn't have learned as many shots, or I wouldn't have met as many people. Like, this just expanded more doors of opportunities for me. And that's kind of how I viewed it. But like I said, some people could have been like, oh, your parents are like hindering you from this and that. But I don't know. I think that was a good thing. And back to the whole thing about being grateful. Like, my parents, although my mom is a nurse and my dad is an accountant. Those are very black and white, simple, plain Jane, like, you know, they're going to pay well type jobs. And I'm so happy that they were able to see the work ethic I was putting in what I was doing and be like, although this is in the arts, we're still going to support it. Until this day, it's like, anything that I tell them, they're like, go ahead, go do it. Like, they'll give me their pointers here and there. And once again, I'm Nigerian. That's not a lot of Nigerian parents or African
not
parents.
having it.
No, like, what you said you wanted to do music. Let's try. You said you wanted to be a photographer. Do you want to do lawyer, doctor?
Right.
What's like accountant? Like, do you want to do something that's safe? Let's try. And it's just, I don't know. But they've always had my best interest at heart and still do. So that has definitely been like one of the main ways that I'm like constantly being able to do things that I want to do, because they are always supporting me. Aw, I love my parents.
No, that's good that you have like, that's good that you love like that, or at least have that support system with you. Because like, even with me, my mom could have easily said fuck off. You know what I mean? But like, she supports me. She sees like the same vision that I have in a way. She wants to help me the best way that I can. Like, I'm gonna get out of here and do my own moves at some point, but like, having that like support is, I think, crucial just in the creative process too. But like it also just comes with, because I mean, she gives me like criticism too, but like, I feel like part of it is taking a step back and taking it for what it is, and just moving along with it. Because I mean, it took me a minute to realize, you know, parents aren't ever perfect. Because like, I don't want to get like too deep. Like, my parents got a divorce back in like when I was in middle school, like all this other stuff. But like, that's neither here or there. But like, after a certain point, you start to realize that your parents are just people. But like, you look at them as parents because they're your parents. But like, it just took me a minute to get to that point to where, you know, like, you just have to factor in like all these different kind of things as far as like where their opinion like stems from. But again, you just take it with a grain of salt and you just move forward with it. But one of the things I did want to ask you though is that, because I know now that you're in college, and I saw that one video too, and it was just funny too. Like, people are like, oh, that's Fresh.deww right there, and all that other different kind of stuff. So, but how? No, let me rephrase that question. I did want to ask, would you rather be rich or famous? But I want to kind of get a little bit deeper into it as far as like the privacy part of it, because it might get to a point where you might be a household name, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of things that come with that. Like Jay-Z would say, you know, sometimes I just want to take my kids to the park and eat dinner without cameras being all up in my face. So, and I'm sure you're starting to see that now with your, like, you're being a little bit more recognized, like, at school. So how has that adjustment been for you as far as people noticing you a lot more, and how much comfort you have in that sort of space?
Okay, so the way I'm gonna phrase this, I might jump a little back. I might jump a little bit with, like, I might trip up on my words, but it's just because I have to be really careful with how I answer this, because some people might listen to it and be like, they might see it as an ungrateful statement. So I'm trying so hard to, like, figure out how to phrase it, but there's this term that's like, I can't complain about, how does it go? It's like, I can't complain, or I can't complain about having too much on my plate when the goal was to eat, or something like that.
Oh, that's good. I love that shit. What?
So basically, it's like, I have this goal of growth, and I'm constantly trying to grow. And it's like, do I really have the place to complain about people realize, like, noticing me when growth was the goal? So, like, I grew, and it's like, with growth comes more people knowing who I am. And it's like, okay, I can't really complain about it, but at the same time, I feel like it's valid to have a human emotion where I'm like, okay, can we calm down? Because I'm not like a crazy, like, famous person. Like, I'm not anyone insane, but a lot of my content is very Georgia State specific nowadays. So a lot of people on campus will come up to me, and, like, being on campus for the past, for the past, like, week and a half, I think this is, like, or maybe 2 weeks that I've been on campus, like, probably over, like, 50, 60 people, like, a lot of people.
That's dope, though. It's dope.
Because, okay, that's the thing. I love the fact that I'm able to see.
Of course.
Because on YouTube, you only see a number. You only see a number of views, and it's like, you don't really have an attachment to those people, and you don't know who is watching. You just see the views. But being able to
meet the people.
Yeah, it's really, really, really dope, because I'm like, these are all genuine people, which I love, because I love that the community that I've built isn't they're not like cornballs. Like, they're good people that are really dope people. But there's a negative to that, because, like, you had mentioned the thing that Jay-Z had said. It's like, sometimes I just want to chill. Last semester, I would walk out and I would just, like, I would look any type of way and just go to, like, Dunkin' Donuts and sit there and just, like, study and just do whatever, because it was really empty and no one was really there. And I would just mind my own business. Like, no one would say anything to me. But we're back on campus. It's a full campus. A lot of people now know who I am. And I'm like, sometimes I just want to go outside and get a little bit of fresh air, just sit down and just, like, do nothing, or just do my work outside. And it's like, people will constantly try to start conversations. And although I'm grateful for those conversations, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, do y'all not realize I'm in the middle of doing something? Or I'll be, like, doing work, trying to run on a deadline, and I don't know. But there's also the other side of things where I do appreciate when people come to me, because they don't know the time I'm running on. They don't know if I'm free or not. So they're just coming up to me and being like, hey, like, I support you. But I don't know. I'm definitely seeing a whole lot of that these days, and I'm trying to navigate that, because I'm also a very social person. Like, I love to talk to people. I love to know people for who they are, and not just like, oh, you're another supporter, because every person is their own individual. I also love to cultivate friendships and relationships with people. So in that process of trying to, like, I don't know, like, when I meet people, I'm like, what's your name? Like, tell me a little bit about you, because I want to also get to know you, because that builds community. But then sometimes I'm just like, this is really, really overwhelming, because I can't get to know every single person on a deep level, because there's so many people. And I don't know, sometimes people will, like, DM me, and they'll ask if we can, like, hang out or something. And I'm like, as much as I would love to, I would really love to, like, genuinely speaking, I would love to, but there's like 10, 20, 30 other people also asking me the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't have enough time in my day, and I don't know, it's an interesting feeling. And sometimes I feel like, sometimes I get frustrated because I'm like, why are you mad about this? Because like I said earlier, if the goal was to eat, you can't complain about having too much on your plate. And it's like, I wanted this, why am I mad about it? But then I also have to remind myself, like, this is a valid feeling because I'm a human being at the end of the day, and every single person would like some like peace and quiet at times.
Of course.
And it's only gonna continue going up from here. It's only gonna continue going up from here is what I'm seeing, because I'm gonna continue to make content and I'm gonna continue to meet people, but I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate that and balance it. So I'm still learning. I'm definitely still learning. I don't know. I might watch this in a couple like months or something and be like, why did you say that? Or or I could be like, yeah, you're right. Or I could be like, oh, you finally realized how to navigate it. But essentially, this is how I feel this second, like right now. So I don't know. As time goes by, I'm sure I'll figure it out. But right now, it's like a little bit overwhelming. But I don't know. Like,
no, like honestly, like it's just one of those things where you're always constantly changing and evolving, like as a human being and as a person. And that's why like it kind of not bothers me in a way when people are always trying to like find themselves or like find this grand answer to like who they are. You're never gonna find that. Like you're always like, just as a human being, like as you're saying, like you might look back at this and say like, was I right then? Or like just those different kind of questions, but you're always just changing and evolving like as a human being. And honestly, it's one of those things where you never really truly find out who you are until the day you die, because then you could really look back on your life and look at the journey and take it for what it is. But you're all every day, like you learn something new, and you're always just changing and evolving. Now, how much are you a big believer in the concept of money doesn't change you, it only inflates the person that you are, if that makes sense?
I guess I would say I agree with that for sure. And these past few, I guess maybe like year or two, I was like, I've been able to make a lot more. I've been able to make more money than there's some things that I never thought I would be able to get for myself. But it's like, for me, I'm also going to use something that my mom has told me. She was basically saying it's like, a lot of the time and effort that goes into honing a skill is something that people don't see. You don't see all the behind the scenes work that takes place. And it's like, all they see is, or I mean, sometimes if you don't show them this aspect, all they see is the profit or like what you got. But it's like, you don't see how much work went into me getting this. So when it comes to making money for me, it's like, I have to learn a lot about the ins and outs, like the businessy aspects, like what will work, what won't work, the investments that I have to make. So it's like, when you finally see me being able to get certain things, it's not just that it just dropped in my hands. I worked for all these things. And hold on, I just had like a brain fart. I was about to say
happens to me all the time. You're good.
I was about to say something and I just forgot. A lot of the time, like, people will see, because I personally feel like for my age, I'm 18, and for my age, I think I make a pretty good amount of money. Like, I make probably above average, at least for an entrepreneur and someone who doesn't like need to rely on like a paycheck to paycheck type of job. And sometimes people can see that and they'll be like, I don't know, like there might be envy. I don't know how people's brains work, but people can be envious and be like, how can you make these purchases, or how are you able to do this? And it's like, you don't see how much work I put in.
Exactly.
You really don't.
You only see the finished product.
Exactly. And it's like, only if you saw how much went into this, maybe you wouldn't have as much to say about it. Like, maybe you would just like be like, she's not just lucky. Like, none of this is luck.
I've been busting my ass for 7 years, like, guys. Like, come on.
Yeah, like, I've been working. I work very hard.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Things are not just handed to me. I personally don't really I don't rely on, although I do get like financial assistance from my parents for like needs and stuff, like food, because I can't like just die or anything. But I do get help here and there. But I'm like, I fund a lot of these things. I had to create this for myself. And I'm not saying I'm self-made, because there's been help here and there, but a lot of what I do has been a lot of my work. And personally, like, I'm religious, so I personally feel like a lot of what I do is like not only the hard work I put in, but it's a lot of hand in hand. Like I get a lot of strength from, I believe in God, so it's like a lot of my strength comes from above. So I can't do all this on my own in that sense. So it's like y'all don't see all of this behind the scenes. All you see is the product. So now that you see the product, you're like, oh, she's And then another thing is that, like you said, the people around you change, because when you're making more, the friends that you make, they have to understand the lifestyle that you now live. And some people might be like, oh, you're like leaving your number ones, but it's like sometimes some people just no longer are able to relate to you when you're at a different place in life.
I feel like there's a saying where it's like you're a reflection of your 5 closest friends around you. Exactly. And I mean, it's not about one of those things of like, what can I get out of you? It's never like really, but you want to surround yourself with people that are doing things. Exactly. It's just a natural thing. Like,
no, yeah. And that's not saying that I'm gonna just leave all the people
behind. No, of course.
Because the friendships that I personally build, like they're not just solely based on income, obviously. Like there's so much more depth to them. But for some friendships, it's like some people just can't fully grasp the level that you want to get to. So you can't just, those people at some point can become a hindrance. Because it's like, if you don't see that I'm trying to elevate, then how am I going to interact with you? Like, what are our conversations going to be based off of? Because you want to stay stagnant. I want to like, you know, I want my throat.
You're good.
So parched. It's like, I want to get to a different place in life. We can't have much, because friendships are based off of like what you have in common. So what do we have in common now when you're not trying to get to where I'm trying to get to? So that's not saying like, oh, cut off everyone that isn't
doing what you're doing.
It's like no, but you know, essentially as you continue to get to different places in life, your friends are going to change. The people that you surround yourself with are going to change. And that's just normal. And I feel like everyone in a place of wealth has to just like really navigate that. And some people don't navigate it in the best way. Some people let it get to their head and they'll they'll start doing things that they wouldn't have done. And I think that's where it's like a fine line. It's based on each person, in my opinion. It's like based on what each person chooses to do with that wealth that they get. But some people will take that and run with it and be like, I've never seen this amount of money in my life. And they just start doing things that they wouldn't have done. But for some people, like you said, it's like they take that money and they do things that they couldn't have done. Like they... Okay, I think that's the way I want to phrase it. Some people do things that they wouldn't have done, and some people do things that they couldn't have done. So, like, for some people, that money would have allowed them to do more and elevate more. And some people, now that money is changing who they are. So, I think it's just an individual type of thing, like how people choose to navigate that. And I just hope that as I continue to get up there, that I don't change in that sense. I personally also believe in giving back a lot. So I don't want money to be something that I attach to myself, because I want to be able to pour back into other people that weren't able to have the ability to get to where I was. And, you know, like, I think that's going to allow me to have some level of, that'll ground me in a sense, because it's not just like I'm holding all this and bringing it to myself to like do all these things to fulfill my happiness. So hopefully, prayerfully, everything works out and this journey is like really good. So
now I feel you. Now I want to play a little game. I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. You have to give me little fast answers, okay? Now you might have heard these questions before, but I had to give them to you just because I want to see your reaction to them. So, if a plane crashes on the border of the U.S. and Mexico, where would the survivors be buried? I'm kidding.
The survivors wouldn't be buried because they survived.
No.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, now here's another one. What's heavier, a pound of rocks or a pound of cotton candy?
They're both a pound. So
okay, she knows the answers. She knows these answers. Now, 7 plus 6 is 12, or 7 plus 6 are 12?
7 plus 6 is 14, or is 13.
Almost caught you. Almost caught you.
So it's not 12. It's not 12. It's neither. so funny.
No, I got you. I just wanted to ask you
You just
those.
took me back to time. That's
Hell
so
yeah.
crazy. That really just we just time traveled just now. Because I remember, I don't know. Okay, I'm just gonna explain. That was from like when I was in high school. I would do World Star Hip Hop, or I said World Star Hip Hop. I think I would do questions from World Star Hip Hop where they would just ask like trivia questions, and I would ask it to people at my high school. I remember filming those. It was so crazy because I would have people stay after school for me. I'd be like, please, I need to get this video in. It was a time. I forgot about that. What the heck?
No, it's funny. The main reason I wanted to ask is because you asked those questions, but I want to see if you got any wrong, even though you're the one asking them.
I memorized those. Literally, I'm pretty sure till this day they're still typed in my phone.
That's funny.
I wanted to do. I think I did like 2 parts to it, so I wanted to do like a whole lot. So I would just have all those questions on my phone, and it's probably been like 2 years since I heard those. So that's kind of. Here, I thought you were gonna be like, I don't know.
It was unexpected, I got to do something unexpected for the show.
That was funny.
Now, I got one more question for you though. So, where do you see yourself in the next? I'm not gonna say 40. Where do you see yourself when you're 50?
So right now I'm 18. I just turned 18. When I'm 50, sheesh.
I know, long way from now. I don't have the answer. I was just curious if you had one.
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking, okay, I know for a fact, I'm saying for a fact, but this is just like a goal that I'm pretty firm about. But in the next, let's say next 10 years, I'm going to start off small and then we're going to get to that.
Okay.
So in the next 10 years, I want to expand my business when it comes to just film and videography and all that. And I see myself opening up a studio of mine. So I don't know if it would be here in Atlanta, but I would love to start off here in Atlanta. And I love to travel, so I eventually want to go to London at some point. I don't know, live there maybe for a little bit and just see what the world has to offer, because
definitely
I feel like there's so much you can learn from just like seeing people in different parts of the world. So by I guess 28, that's like the goal, but I feel like that could happen sooner, but I don't know. But by 50, I don't want to continue working. I want to be retired by then. I really personally this is a goal, like a short term. This is a short term that is eventually going to seep into a long term goal, but I don't want to continuously work. I really want to get to a place where I'm able to still make the same amount that I would like to, but work less. And that's something that I think is eventually going to get to a place where I have people working for me. So by 50, I want to just have I want to expand my brand and everything I have to offer to a place where it's people working under me and I'm just kind of overseeing everything. So by then I want to be retired by then for sure. I would love to have kids, so I'm assuming that they would be out by then.
Oh, how many kids do you want? Curious.
I really want to adopt.
Really? Wow.
I want to adopt at least one child.
Okay.
I don't know how that's going to play out because I haven't looked too much into the adoption process, but that's something that's been on my mind.
That's dope as shit, though.
For a while. Yeah, I really want to do that, but once again, I don't know how it goes, and I really have to learn about everything that comes into it, because it's not like you're just adopting I'm not saying a dog essentially is a child.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
A human being is a totally different thing. It just is what it is.
Yeah, because, so there's so much that goes into that. So I really just want to go into it with a right mindset, and I want to be able to make sure I'm able to provide a good quality of life for a child that's not mine. So as I get older, I feel like that decision will eventually have to be made, but that's something I definitely would love to do. And then I would probably want to have 2 kids of my own, so either 3 total or 1 adopted and then 1 other child. It just depends on it's solely dependent on if I feel like having a second child come out of my body. So
Not for you, definitely. No, but I do really appreciate you coming on And you know, I just really appreciate when people like support like the early like creative processes of like this journey. So I really do appreciate you coming on though.
I appreciate you for having me. This has been amazing.
A dope ass conversation. One of my dopest conversations. I'm not even gonna lie, definitely.
Yeah, I'm so happy about this. I don't come on things like this very often, or not like a lot of them have been over Zoom. So this has been really good to have like this real life interaction.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm so excited to see how this turns out.
Oh, especially after like this whole pandemic shit too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get back to like the humanly shit.
No,
like,
for real, because it makes a whole world of a difference to have actual
human interactions. No, definitely. But this is episode 12 of the Blake Edwards podcast. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. Again, thank you for Fresh.deww for coming on. But if you guys are viewing this on YouTube, I want you guys to go ahead and subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. And also turn on those post notifications so you guys watch all the future content that's coming out. I bring on dope-ass guests every single episode. And if you're also listening to this on Spotify or any of the other distribution platforms, Apple, Amazon, all those other neat places, keep downloading those episodes. I really love and appreciate you guys. But yeah, this is episode 12 and we are out of here.
Oh yeah? Well, screw you guys. I'm going home.
There we go.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
That was dope.
That was so fun. Oh my gosh, I loved this.
Hey, no, this was a dope ass conversation. Like, I'm not lying. I like this fucking talking. Hey, babe. I'm surprised you stayed here.